The galaxy was quiet, stars shining like cold eyes in the endless dark. For centuries, the alien empire believed they understood war. To them, war was a machine, a system of numbers, fleets, and firepower. They fought countless battles and crushed countless worlds, and in every battle they won with the same formula: overwhelm the enemy, destroy their will, erase their future. The aliens were proud, they were confident, they were arrogant. No species had ever truly challenged them. No species had ever made them doubt. They thought war was simple, predictable, and already mastered. And then there were humans, a young species, born on a small blue planet far from the galactic core. To the aliens, humans looked weak, fragile, and unimportant. They had no great fleets, no ancient empire, no endless resources. Their bodies were soft, their weapons primitive, their history short. To the empire, humans were not a threat. They were just another new race waiting to be conquered. But whispers began to spread. Rumors carried through the dark trade routes and soldier camps. Stories told in hushed voices. Some said humans fought differently. Some said humans refused to surrender even when outnumbered. Some said they laughed in the face of death. The aliens dismissed these tales, calling them exaggerations, lies told by deserters. But even so, a shadow of curiosity remained, a question they never asked aloud. What if the rumors were true? In the war councils of the alien empire, leaders mocked the idea. They compared humans to insects. They laughed and said, "War is numbers, war is calculation, war is strength. Humans do not have any of this, so they cannot matter." And with their laughter, they sealed their arrogance. They did not see the storm quietly building beyond the edge of their charts. One night, on a distant frontier world, an alien commander looked at the reports from scouts. Human ships had been spotted in strange places, moving in strange ways. The commander frowned but dismissed the warning. It was probably nothing, he thought. The Empire had seen such things before, and it had always been nothing. But war does not always follow rules, and enemies are not always what they seem. The humans had been watching. They had been learning. They had been preparing. They studied alien strategies, alien weaknesses, alien pride. And though their fleets were smaller, though their weapons were fewer, they carried something the Empire had long forgotten. They carried fire in their hearts. On the alien homeworld, great halls of war echoed with speeches of confidence. Commanders declared that the humans would fall quickly, that they would surrender like all the others, that their resistance was nothing but a waste of time. Soldiers cheered, fleets launched, and banners of conquest waved in the void. The Empire believed this war would be like all the others, a simple storm to crush a fragile world. But in silence, beyond the edge of known space, a human battleship moved. It did not roar. It did not boast. It simply advanced. Its crew was small, its metal scarred, but its spirit unbroken. Inside, men and women prepared for the fight of their lives. They were not thinking of glory. They were not thinking of conquest. They were thinking of survival. For them, war was not numbers, not systems, not pride. For them, war was personal. Every alien ship destroyed meant one more chance for humanity to live. Every sacrifice made meant one more child on Earth could grow. The calm before the storm was almost over. In the silence of space, where stars stood like silent judges, two paths were about to cross. One path was arrogance, built on centuries of easy victory. The other was desperation, forged in fear and fire. When these paths met, the galaxy would change, and the aliens would finally learn a truth they never expected: that war was more than numbers, that war was more than power, that war was survival, and survival was something humans understood better than anyone. The storm had not yet begun, but the air already carried the weight of coming fire. The aliens could not see it. The humans could not escape it. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, for soon silence would break, and the galaxy would never be the same. The alien empire was ancient. Its fleets stretched across the stars like an endless shadow. Its cities burned with the light of conquest, and its leaders spoke with the pride of gods. For centuries they had fought every kind of enemy, strong enemies, weak enemies, strange enemies, and every time the Empire crushed them, they believed themselves invincible. They believed their understanding of war was perfect. To them, war was a game already won, and the board always belonged to them. In grand war halls, alien generals stood before walls of glowing maps. Lines of fleets and planets danced across the charts. Each world taken was marked in red. Each victory was recorded like a song. Generals raised their hands and said, "Here is proof. No one can stop us. No one can challenge us. We are the masters of war." The soldiers cheered, the citizens roared. Even the young who had never seen battle believed this pride. The Empire was a machine, and the machine never failed. Every child grew up hearing the same story, that their people were chosen to rule, that every other species existed only to serve, that resistance was foolish, hopeless, meaningless. So when humans appeared in the galactic records, the Empire laughed. What could a young species do? Their ships were small. Their colonies were fragile. Their weapons were weak compared to the Empire's fire. To the aliens, humans were nothing, just another name to add to the long list of conquered. In the High Council chamber, leaders spoke with calm arrogance. They told stories of easy victory. One commander said, "Humans are soft. Their bones are fragile. Their worlds are few. We will break them in days. They will beg for mercy. They will join the long line of the defeated." Another commander laughed. "They fight strangely, yes. But strange is not strength. Strange is only chaos. Chaos always falls before order, and we are order. We are the Empire." The room filled with laughter, and the sound of confidence echoed like thunder. To them, the war with humans would be a simple play, one more performance in the endless theater of conquest. Fleets were prepared, soldiers were trained, weapons were polished until they shone. Like suns, the Empire moved with the slow but unstoppable power of a giant. And still they mocked. Still they underestimated. On the edge of Empire space, young alien soldiers gathered in training fields. They spoke of humans as if they were already beaten. One soldier bragged, "I will take a human world in a single day." Another said, "I will bring home a human as a trophy." Their laughter rose into the night sky, but hidden in their eyes was something else. A small flicker of doubt, for they had heard the whispers too, whispers of human defiance, stories of human soldiers who kept fighting even when broken, tales of battles where humans bled but did not surrender. The Empire dismissed them, but soldiers are not fools. They knew there is always some truth in whispers, yet confidence crushed doubt, pride smothered fear. The Empire taught them that victory was destiny, and destiny was unquestionable. So they raised their weapons and shouted, "For the Empire, for victory, for war." Meanwhile, in the deep of space, fleets assembled, hundreds of ships glowing with alien fire. Their engines hummed like storms. Their guns pointed toward human worlds. To the aliens, this was already won. A storm waiting to be unleashed. A storm they thought would drown the humans in fire. But storms are not always predictable. Sometimes storms turn against the ones who summon them. And far away on a single human battleship, the crew listened to reports of the alien movement. They knew what was coming. They knew the storm was on its way. But unlike the Empire, they did not see numbers. They did not see maps and charts. They saw their homes, they saw their families, they saw their very existence at stake. The aliens were confident, too confident. They believed the war was already over before it had begun. They believed the humans would be crushed like insects. They believed wrong. The silence of the stars was about to break. The storm was about to rise. And the Empire would soon learn that confidence is a fragile shield. It shines bright, it sounds powerful. But it shatters the moment true resistance strikes. The calm was ending. The arrogance was blinding. The confidence was burning. And soon, the first shot would be fired. And the galaxy would begin to change. The alien fleets moved like an iron tide. Thousands of ships across the stars, cold and silent, waiting for command. Every sensor, every weapon, every mind focused on the coming war. The Empire believed this war was already theirs. To them, humans were just a delay, not a danger. But then in the darkness of space, something unusual happened. The alien sensors picked up a signal. At first it was faint, like a whisper carried by the void. A rhythm, a pattern, strange and alien to their ears. It was not a weapon, not a transmission of surrender. It was something else entirely. It was music. The sound carried through the deep channels of communication, a slow, haunting song from Earth, the voices of humans mixed with instruments the aliens did not understand. It was soft, but powerful, calm, but filled with fire. The alien commanders frowned. They had heard many signals of war, battle cries, threats, codes, but never this. Why would humans send music before battle? In the great command ship of the alien fleet, a council gathered. Admirals stood around glowing screens. The strange sound played in the room. They listened, but they did not understand. One admiral hissed, "This is weakness. They are sending culture, not war. It is their way of begging." Another shook his head. "No, it feels different." He could not explain why, but the song touched something ancient, something the Empire had long buried beneath pride. Yet pride is louder than doubt. The leaders laughed. "Let them sing. Let them dance. When the fire begins, their songs will burn with their worlds." But out in the lower ranks among young alien soldiers, the signal spread differently. They played it again and again. Some felt uneasy. Some felt fear. The song did not sound like surrender. It sounded like warning. Like the calm voice of someone who had already accepted death. Like the cry of a predator before it strikes. The signal repeated every few hours. No words of surrender. No message. Of peace, only music, only the strange human sound, and then one day the song changed. It stopped being soft, it grew heavy. Loud drums, sharp tones, fast rhythms, a song of battle, a song of defiance, and with it came 3 simple words. 3 words that froze every alien who heard them. "We are ready." The words echoed across. The fleet not shouted, not screamed, just spoken with calm certainty. Aliens stared at each other in silence. No prey had ever spoken like this. No weak species had ever looked into the storm and said such words. The Empire told itself it was just human arrogance, that these 3 words meant nothing. But deep, inside, the seed of doubt grew. In the outer regions of the fleet, alien scouts tried to trace the signal. They expected to find a hidden network, a human base, perhaps another fleet. But no, the signal came from a single ship. One ship alone, in the dark. A human battleship, scarred and old, drifting but alive. Not a great armada, not a massive fleet, just one ship, carrying one voice, one song, and one warning. The aliens did not understand. Why would humans send one ship against so many? Why would they announce their presence instead of hiding? The answer was simple. Humans wanted to be seen. They wanted the Empire to know they were not afraid. They wanted their defiance to echo before the first shot was fired. And so, the strange signal spread across the Empire. Generals dismissed it, commanders mocked it, but soldiers remembered it. They carried the sound in their minds, even as they sharpened their blades, even as they fueled their ships. The song of humans would not leave their thoughts. For the Empire, war was numbers. For humans, war was survival. And survival has a sound, a rhythm, a heartbeat that will not stop. That heartbeat was now inside the alien fleets, and it would grow louder with every passing moment. The strange signal was more than music. It was a message. It was a promise. It was the voice of a species saying, "You may be strong, you may be many, but we will fight you, we will bleed, we will burn, but we will not bow." And in the silence that followed, the galaxy seemed to pause. The stars themselves seemed to listen. Something was coming. Something the Empire did not expect. Something the humans had been preparing for all along. The strange signal faded. The void grew quiet again. But the calm was not peace. It was the silence before thunder, the still air before the storm, and every alien who heard that signal knew, whether they admitted it or not, that war was about to change forever. The alien fleet floated in silence. The strange human signal still echoed in their minds. A song of defiance, a warning, a promise. But now the moment of waiting was over. The humans had sent their words, and the aliens had chosen to answer with fire. In the dark between stars, the alien commander raised his hand. Orders spread like lightning. Through the fleet, dozens of warships moved into position. Their weapons glowed with power. Their targeting systems locked onto a single ship, the human battleship standing alone, old, scarred, but unbroken. The aliens expected fear. They expected panic. They expected the human ship to run or hide. But it did not. It drifted calmly, like a predator waiting. The silence felt heavy. Even the aliens, confident as they were, felt a strange chill, and then the first message came, not from the Empire, but from the humans. 3 words again carried through the void, not loud, not desperate, but calm. "We are ready," the alien commander sneered. "Arrogance," he thought. "Just arrogance." With a wave of his hand, he gave the order, "Fire." Beams of light shot across space. Explosions lit the void. The first barrage struck the human battleship. Flames and smoke burst from its side. But still it did not fall. Its shields flickered, its armor groaned. But the ship remained like a stone standing against a storm. The alien crews stared at their screens. It should have been over in seconds. 1 human ship against so many. The numbers promised victory. The logic promised destruction. But war is not always logic, and this ship was not ordinary. Then the humans replied. A single blast of their cannon ripped through space. It was not stronger, not faster, not more advanced, but it was precise. It struck an alien cruiser at its weakest point. The ship split apart, flames spilling into the void. The aliens gasped. 1 ship, 1 shot, 1 kill. The Empire had seen resistance before. But this felt different. The humans were not running. They were not hiding. They were standing, facing the storm without fear. On the human battleship, the crew worked with quiet focus. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. But they were not out of hope. Every hand moved with purpose. Every eye burned with determination. They were not fighting for glory. They were fighting for survival. And survival makes warriors of ordinary people. The aliens fired again. Wave after wave, the void lit with fire and thunder. The human ship shook, its hull scarred and burning, but every time it fought back. Every strike was sharp. Every move was calculated. The aliens realized something terrifying. The humans were not guessing, the humans were learning. Every attack, every defense, every counterstrike. The humans were adapting, turning chaos into a weapon. On the command ship, the alien admirals' smile faded. This was supposed to be easy. This was supposed to be simple, but the humans were making it costly. They were bleeding the Empire 1 ship at a time, and they were not stopping. Even when surrounded, even when broken, they kept fighting. The first contact was no longer just a battle. It was a message. A message written in fire and steel. Humans do not bow. Humans do not break. Humans fight until nothing is left. The alien crews began to whisper. Some asked, "What are they?" Others muttered, "Why do they not fear?" Fear began to spread in the places confidence once lived. It grew quietly, but it grew fast. The human captain looked at his crew, his voice steady, his eyes calm. "This is what they wanted," he said. "They wanted to test us, so let us show them who we are." And the crew answered as one, "Yes, Captain." More explosions filled the void. More alien ships fell. And still, the human battleship fought. 1 ship against many. 1 voice against an empire. And with every passing second, the legend grew. The aliens had believed first contact would be surrender. They had believed humans would bow. But instead, first contact became resistance. It became defiance. It became the first spark of a fire that would spread across the galaxy. When the smoke cleared, the human battleship still stood, damaged, broken, but alive. The alien fleet circled, cautious now. Their arrogance shaken, their pride wounded. For the first time in centuries, they had met an enemy who would not kneel. The stars watched in silence. The void echoed with the memory of fire. And in that silence, one truth became clear. First contact was not the end. It was only the beginning. The silence of space did not last. The first contact had shaken the alien fleet. Their arrogance was cracked, their pride wounded, but they were still many, still powerful, and they refused to believe one human battleship could stand against them. The alien commander raised his voice. "Enough," he hissed. "This ends now. We will crush them in a single strike. No more playing with prey." And with that command, the Empire unleashed its storm. Dozens of alien ships broke formation. Their weapons lit up the dark like suns, beams of burning light, missiles of roaring fire. The void became a sea of destruction. Every weapon aimed at one target. The lone, human battleship. Inside the ship, alarm screamed. Metal groaned, sparks burst across the bridge. The crew held their breath as the storm fell upon them. The first clash had begun, and survival was hanging by a thread. The alien fleet believed the battle was already decided. No ship had ever withstood such firepower. The numbers were against the humans. The logic was against the humans. But war does not always follow logic, and humans were not creatures of numbers. The first wave struck. The battleship shook violently, its shields rippled, its armor screamed. But it did not break. Through the smoke and fire, the ship held on, and when the smoke cleared, the humans fired back. One cannon lit up the void. The shot cut through the storm like a blade. It found its target, an alien destroyer, proud and tall. In seconds, it was torn apart, flames spilling into the emptiness. One shot, one kill. The aliens gasped. The humans had survived the impossible, and struck back harder than anyone expected, but the storm was not over. More fire rained down. More missiles struck. The battleship spun, metal tearing, shields failing. Yet still it fought. Every move, every strike, carefully chosen. The crew knew they could not outgun the aliens. But they could outthink them. They could outlast them. On the alien flagship, the commander's smile vanished. His voice grew sharp. "Press harder. Do not let them breathe." But already doubt was spreading among his officers. They had never seen prey stand so long, never seen prey turn fire into survival. The humans adapted quickly. Every barrage taught them something new. Every hit revealed a weakness. Every second made them stronger, and soon their strikes grew sharper. Their moves faster. They weaved through the storm. Not like prey running from predators, but like hunters among hunters. The clash grew louder. Ships burst one by one. The void filled with wreckage, fire, and silence. The alien fleet was still greater. But the humans had turned the fight into chaos, and chaos was their weapon. Alien soldiers whispered on their bridges. Why do they not fall? Why do they not fear? Fear began to crawl into their hearts. Not fear of death, but fear of the unknown. Fear of an enemy they could not predict. Fear of humans. Inside the battleship, the human captain stood tall, his voice calm, even as the ship burned. "Stay steady, do not give them what they want us broken, but we will not break." And the crew, bloodied but unbowed, answered, "Yes, Captain." The clash raged on. Hours felt like days. Every second was a battle. Every moment was survival. And yet, through it all, the humans endured. The aliens realized something terrifying. They had brought their storm, and the humans had stood in it, bleeding, breaking, but alive. When the guns finally fell silent, the void was littered with wreckage. Alien ships burned in the dark. The human battleship floated scarred, smoking, nearly broken. But still alive, one ship had faced an empire's storm, and still it stood. The first clash was supposed to be a victory. For the aliens, it was supposed to be a lesson in power, but instead it became a warning. A warning carved into the stars, that humans do not break, that humans do not surrender, that humans fight. Until the last breath on the alien flagship, silence filled the bridge. The commander's hands shook with rage. "This is not possible," he growled. But deep inside, he knew the truth. It was possible, it was real, and it was only the beginning. The humans had survived the first clash, and now the Empire knew this war would not be simple. This war would not be quick. This war would change everything. The void grew quiet again, but the silence was heavy. It carried the weight of fear, the weight of doubt, the weight of a storm that had only just begun. The first clash had ended, but the war was far from over. The alien empire had always believed war was simple. They believed war was about numbers. More ships meant victory. More firepower meant dominance. More soldiers meant control. For centuries, this logic worked, and every enemy who stood against them fell quickly. But humans were not like the others. They did not fight by numbers. They did not fight by rules. They fought with something else. They fought with tactics. And tactics are born not from strength, but from creativity, from desperation, from survival. After the first clash, the alien commanders gathered. They studied the battle. They counted their losses. And though they had destroyed much of the human ship, they could not deny what they saw. The humans had turned weakness into strength. They had turned chaos into order. They had used tactics the aliens had never faced before. The Empire did not understand. Why risk a battleship against impossible odds? Why send one ship against a fleet? Why fight when logic says surrender? Because humans did not see war as numbers. They saw war as survival. And survival changes everything. On the human battleship, the crew worked tirelessly. The ship was damaged, scarred, but alive. Every member of the crew carried burns, cuts and bruises, but their eyes still burned with fire. They had faced the Empire's storm, and they were still here. The captain stood among them and said, "They expect us to break, so we will not. They expect us to run, so we will not. They expect us to fight like them, so we will not. We will fight like humans." And that was the key. Human tactics were not predictable. They did not follow clean patterns. They did not fit into neat equations. Aliens saw chaos, but humans saw possibility. The crew repaired the ship piece by piece, but they also prepared traps. Simple, clever, deadly traps. They hid their movements, they bent signals, they turned the void into a game of shadows, and slowly, the hunters became the hunted. The alien fleet pressed forward. Their commanders shouted with pride, "Surround them, destroy them, this ends now." But every move they made met something unexpected. Every path they chose held danger. Every strike they sent was answered in ways they could not predict. A small human drone floated quietly through the wreckage of destroyed ships. The aliens ignored it. It was too small to matter. But then the drone detonated, a hidden mine of fire. It ripped through an alien cruiser, a single scrap of metal destroying a giant. The aliens grew angry. They unleashed more fire, but their anger blinded them. They chased shadows. They attacked empty space. And every time they did, the humans struck from the dark. Tactics, not strength, not numbers, tactics. The Empire was slow to learn. They believed only in overwhelming power. They had forgotten what it meant to be desperate, to fight with nothing but will. But humans remembered. Their entire history was built on survival against impossible odds. They knew how to adapt, how to sacrifice, how to win by turning weakness into advantage. An alien officer shouted in confusion, "They should be destroyed already. Why do they keep fighting? Why do they not fall?" The commander growled back, "Because they are reckless, because they are mad." But deep inside, even he began to fear the truth. Maybe humans were not mad. Maybe humans were dangerous. As the battle stretched on, the alien fleet began to slow. Their confidence cracked further. Their soldiers whispered, "These humans are different. They do not fight for victory, they fight for survival, and survival makes them unstoppable." The human battleship was battered, but it still struck like lightning. Every shot aimed with precision, every move designed to confuse. The aliens could not predict them, and what cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. The tactics of humans spread like fire. Their unpredictability turned fear into panic, and panic spread faster than any weapon. For the first time in centuries, the Empire doubted its own strength. They saw one ship stand against many, and they began to wonder, if one ship could do this, what would happen when more arrived? The human captain looked at the burning stars. He whispered, "This is only the beginning." His crew nodded, their eyes hard, their hearts steady. They had shown the aliens that humans did not fight like others. They had shown that humans were not prey. They were predators too. Predators who knew how to use every scrap, every trick, every sacrifice. And in the dark silence that followed, the aliens learned a lesson they would never forget. Strength alone does not win wars. Numbers alone do not guarantee victory. Tactics decide battles, and humans had mastered the art of survival. The clash was far from over. The storm was still growing. But already the balance had shifted. The aliens no longer saw just a fragile species. They saw something dangerous, something unpredictable, something human. The alien empire had never known fear. For centuries they marched through galaxies with pride. Every world they conquered fell quickly. Every species they met bent to their power. Fear was something they caused, never something they felt. But after the humans arrived, everything began to change. The strange tactics, the reckless defiance, the refusal to surrender. These things planted doubt in alien hearts, and doubt is the first seed of fear. The alien commanders told their soldiers, "This is nothing. One ship cannot challenge an empire. They are only delaying the inevitable." But the soldiers had seen the battles with their own eyes. They had seen human fire cut through mighty cruisers. They had seen human courage defy impossible odds. And they had seen something else. Something that haunted them. Humans were not afraid of death. On alien ships, whispers spread. Did you see how they fought? Did you see how they smiled even when their ship burned? Some soldiers laughed nervously. Others grew silent, for deep inside they knew. An enemy who does not fear death is the most dangerous enemy of all. The human battleship moved through wreckage like a ghost. Scarred, burning, but still alive, every time the aliens thought it destroyed. It rose again. Every time they thought it broken, it struck back harder. It was as if the ship itself carried a spirit that refused to die. The alien admiral watched with narrowed eyes. His pride fought against the truth in front of him. "These humans are not strong," he growled. "They are desperate. Desperation makes them reckless. Recklessness cannot win against order." But even as he spoke, he saw the fear in his officers' eyes. He saw the way their hands trembled. He heard the unease in their voices, and he knew the truth. Order was beginning to crack. On the human battleship, the captain stood calmly among chaos, his voice steady, his eyes fierce. "Look at them," he told his crew. "They believed they were gods. Now they look at us with fear. Do not stop. Do not let them forget this moment. Let them see what it means to face humans." The crew nodded. Every word burned into their hearts, and together they prepared for the next strike. The next clash was smaller, a group of alien ships circling the humans. They moved carefully now, no longer arrogant, no longer laughing. They had learned caution, but caution was another name for fear. The humans attacked first, swift and sharp. A hidden torpedo slipped through the void. It struck an alien frigate and split it in half. The remaining ships pulled back in shock. Their formation broke, and in their hesitation, the humans struck again. The alien soldiers stared at their screens in horror. This was not how battles were supposed to go. The Empire was supposed to dominate. The prey was supposed to kneel. But here the prey had become the predator, and the predators were beginning to feel hunted. Fear spread faster than fire. It spread. Through voices, through whispers, through silence. It grew in the lower ranks. It crept into the minds of officers, and even touched the thoughts of commanders. They remembered the human signal, the strange music, the words, "We are ready." Now they understood. The humans were not bluffing. They had meant every word. On alien ships, some soldiers began to question their leaders. Why are we fighting them? Why do we waste ships on this? What if they cannot be broken? The commanders silenced them with threats. But threats cannot erase fear. Threats only bury it, and buried fear grows stronger. The alien admiral clenched his fists. "We are the Empire. We do not fear insects. We do not fear chaos." But even, he could not deny the trembling in his heart. For every time he closed his eyes, he saw the human battleship, burning, broken, yet unyielding. And in those flames he saw something terrifying. He saw the will of survival, a will stronger than his entire fleet. The humans had become a mirror that showed the Empire its weakness. They revealed the hollow arrogance. They exposed the cracks in their pride. And in that mirror, the aliens saw themselves not as gods, but as fragile beings. Afraid, uncertain, and shaken, fear was now in alien eyes. It showed in their hesitation, it showed in their broken formations, it showed in their silence after every failed attack. The humans had done what no species had ever done before. They had made the Empire doubt itself. The captain of the human ship looked out at the stars, his voice quiet but steady. "They fear us now," he whispered, "and fear is more powerful than any weapon." His crew nodded in silence. They did not need more words, they understood. They had already turned the tide. The galaxy held its breath. The void carried the weight of fear. And in that moment, one truth became clear. The Empire might still have more ships, more weapons, more power, but humans had something stronger. They had broken the illusion of invincibility. They had placed fear in alien eyes, and once fear takes root, it never leaves. The storm was far from over. The battles were still ahead, but already the Empire had changed. Already the humans had won something greater than a clash. They had won the enemy's mind, and with it, they had begun to win the war.